everyone, and welcome to another session this week, this new month. So, happy new month. And today's session is another interesting one in terms of we are hoping this will be something that is new to you. So, it's one of those sessions where hopefully you learn something that you are not aware of previously versus just trying to improve your skills on something you already know. So the title of the session is Dynamic Subscription for Power BI Reports. Our speaker is Tolulope Olowookere, and this session is brought to you by your BizEdge and MHS Analytics. Your BizEdge is a Microsoft Excel, Power BI, financial modeling, SQL, and Python data analysis training and consulting company based out of Nigeria. So we have a unique approach in terms of we are strictly focused on data analytics, and that way we have above average competence and ability to be abreast of what is new versus those other training institutes that do too much, right? And secondly, we consult, so which means we also provide solutions to companies, when companies are looking for external consultants to do what they believe their internal team cannot do, or to deliver more value, or to do things faster than their internal team would have done. We are one of the people they reach out to. So, and that is the highest level of operation uh, a trainer can operate at. So it means that you are learning from doers too. You are not learning from people with just book knowledge, but people who also do this who also do what they teach you on. And the teaching style is completely, we developed it uniquely. It's not like we are following a particular textbook approach. It's hands-on, focused more on application, more on, applied knowledge rather than just trying to do a tick box of different content. And we provide support. That's one thing people value about our service. In fact, this webinar you are part of started as a support process for our trainees. So if people who have not trained with us are benefiting even from some of the things we set up for people who have trained with us, now think more about the other things that we have. We provide after training support, ongoing weekly tasks for them to practice, a private group, and that's what is unique about us. I'm going to share this link of our online resources. Some are paid, some are free, but at least you can be able to take advantage even of the free ones. And I'll share the link. MHS Analytics is a Canadian entity, same line of business, but servicing the North American market. And in case you have friends, relatives, or you yourself are based out of North America or somewhere else where you feel it's easier to recommend our North American ham, we'll be grateful. I'll share the website also in the chat. And now we have come to the profile of our speaker. Tolulope is a Microsoft Certified Trainer. She's got over 5 years experience in this domain, and she's worked for different companies and also worked on different analytics projects that makes her also well-rounded. I'll share a LinkedIn connection link in the chat so you can connect with her. And right now, I'll just hand over to her so that she's got the time to walk us through what she's prepared. So Tolu, over to you. And if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. At some periods, I will read out the question to Tolu to answer. But right now, I'll hand over to Tolu.
Thank you so much, Michael, for that warm introduction and warm welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, wherever you are in the world. As Michael said, my name is Tolulope Olowookere, and I'll be taking the webinar today on the topic dynamic subscriptions in Power BI. Okay, so I'll just share my screen so that we can all be on the same page. Okay, so Dynamic per recipient subscription is a preview feature that was introduced in February this year for subscriptions in Power BI service. If we recall, if you're used to creating reports and assigning recipients to a subscription, you would most likely have done that in Power BI service. So this is just an additional layer or a top layer to what we were already used to in what's it called, in presenting in sharing reports using subscription in Power BI service. So it is also called dynamic per recipient subscription. Although the name is not descriptive enough, I'll give us a brief introduction of what exactly this is and why we even use it in the first place. So why do we even need dynamic subscriptions, or why did Microsoft come up with this feature? So I researched and I found out that this feature existed with SSRS, and it used to be called data-driven subscription, and it was also introduced to Power BI paginated reports, and it was just released in February for our normal Power BI reports. So the whole essence of this dynamic subscription or dynamic per recipient subscription is that, remember, when we create a report and we want to add users to or subscribe users to that report, our aim is to make sure that they get an automated snapshot of the report at maybe on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or monthly basis, as the case may be. So the essence of this now, of the dynamic per recipient, is that for each recipient, for each receiver, he gets a filtered version, a customized version of the report as a snapshot. And he also has a PDF attached to it, or even a PowerPoint via report attached to it. So it's up to you to choose. That's just what differentiates it from the normal subscription. So with that, I gave an instance here. I said, imagine you need to send out personalized, customized views of a report with a single subscription on a daily or weekly basis. This is where dynamic subscriptions come in. So, and most times you will most likely use this feature when you're working with a data set that is like categorized. So maybe you have categorized by region, by country, by branch, and stuff like that. So if, for example, you want each salesperson to have a personalized view or a filtered view of his reports as a snapshot, either as a snapshot and also a PDF copy or a PowerPoint copy. So let's explore more about this. Before you can access this feature, although it's still in the preview state, you must have a Microsoft Fabric capacity or a premium capacity to the workspace you are publishing the report to. So first things first, in order for you to even use use this feature, you must have a report, and that report must be published to a workspace that has premium capacity or Microsoft Fabric capacity. So the Microsoft Fabric trial capacity also works for it anyways. And you must also have access to the report in such a way that you must be able to edit the report. So even if you're in the workspace, you are added as a member to that workspace, you must be a contributor or admin role in that workspace to be able to create or set up a dynamic per recipient subscription. So how do we set this up? How does it work? So as I said earlier, this feature works with Power BI service. So you really don't have much to do in Power BI desktop. So once your report is created, you don't need maybe parameters or any form of filtering in the report itself, but instead all the setting up is going to take place in, or most of 90% of the setup is going to take place in Power BI service. So there are some things that you need to put into consideration when doing this. So I'll just be switching between this PowerPoint and Power BI. Excuse me. So I have this report. It's a fictional sales report, and I have worked on it and I have done everything. I'll just go to the table view, sorry, the model view, and I'll show you how the schema looks like. So I have this fact sales, and I have all the dimension tables, just like the basic star schema, excuse me. I have this fact sales table. I have line of business, region, product model, and calendar table attached to or connected to this fact sales table, just like you usually have. Then I also have an additional table here, and I call this table my mapping table. So this is something I need to explain. In order for dynamic per recipient subscription to be set up, you need something like a mapping table. Some people call it a control table, some people call it mapping table. It just depends on what you want to call it. What does this table do? So I'll just show you how this table looks like. This table will contain the feature that you want to, or the field rather, that you want your report to be filtered by. In this case, I want my report to be filtered by region. The recipient's email. So you must have a column also that speaks to the email. And if you wish, you can also have a column that speaks to subject. So I would also take us through how I created this table. One thing to note is that this table has to be created in Power BI, or it can also be imported from Excel or from a SQL database. It doesn't really matter how you get this table, but you need a mapping table. So the mapping table will take care of the column that the report to be filtered by, a column for the recipient's email, and if you wish, a column for subject. I just added this. So let me um go on with my let me continue my talking by showing you how it really works. So I'm going to switch back to PowerPoint. Here I said the mapping table must contain or have a column that contains the recipient's email, a column for what the report will be filtered by year. And also this table mustn't be created in Power BI. You can import it from Excel, you can import it from a SQL database, but it has to be part of the semantic model. And the table too doesn't have to be related to other tables. So you see now that my table is a standalone kind of. I'm not connecting it to any tables. If I connect it to the table, it doesn't stop my dynamic per recipient subscription from working. It really doesn't matter. So I'll go back to report view. So imagine I've created my sales report and I'm fine with it. It has gone through all the stages and everybody's fine with it. And I just need to publish this report and then set up a dynamic subscription. So how do I go about it? Okay, I'll publish this. So, okay, before I publish this, I want us to go through creating the mapping table together. So I'll just switch to Power Query quickly, and I'll just walk you through how I created the mapping table. So with the mapping table, first of all, I duplicated my fact sales table, first of all. Sorry. All right, let me just go through the steps. I duplicated my fact sales table. Then after that, I merged queries because my fact sales does not have a column for the region. Instead, it has just region ID. And once I merged the queries, I was able to extract just the region, and then I removed duplicates to have the unique regions. And I had to add conditional columns. So what I did here was for each row in the region. So for Northeast, I typed in the name of the recipient. So for each region, each recipient will be added. This is just fictional anyways. So I did all that. And then once I did that, I also added another column, and I used concatenate or ampersand here to add the subject column. So it says this report is for the region. So it picks the region from the column, and then just did this quickly. Just wanted to show us how I came about this. So So I use Power Query in my own case to create my mapping table. You can also import it from Excel, anyone you think is easier for you. So once I'm done with my reports, I can publish. By publishing, so of course I have to save before I publish. By publishing these reports, okay, it's just taking a while. There's this new updates that Power BI released. It has a new view for publishing, and sometimes I have to open it twice. Okay, before I see the select button here. All right. Now, remember I said that the workspace you are publishing into has to be a fabric capacity or a premium capacity. And in my own case, my personal workspace, my workspace is a fabric trial capacity. So I just select that and then I click on select. So we'll head over to Power BI in a minute. I've published it before, but I'll just go over it again. So while that is publishing, I'll open my browser and I'll go on to Power BI service. So powerbi.com. Okay. So just to be sure, yeah. So it has published completely and successfully. So I just say okay. All right. So let's go back to Power BI service. Remember, I published this into my workspace. So I just click on my workspace and then I search for, yes. So this is the report and this is the semantic model. Okay. Once you click on, let's click on the semantic model first of all. You see all the tables that we have. So any table that was hidden. So maybe you had a technical table that you hid in your report. You wouldn't see it here in the semantic model. It's going to be hidden even in the semantic model. I just wanted to point that out. And you can also view your report from here. So yes, this is our report and we have it here. Next thing we have to do now is to set up the dynamic per subscription, per recipient subscription, excuse me. So in order to do that, we just click on subscribe to reports over here, and then it brings up this window. I already have one here, so I can either create a new one or I can edit it. So I'll just create a new one to show you how it works. Before now, we did not have two options. We only knew the standard way. And what we usually do is just fill in what we need to fill. And at the scheduled time, the person the recipients will have a snapshot of the report and also a link to the report. But since we are not doing this, let's go on to the dynamic per recipient. You see that it's still in the preview state. So we need to click on this. Now it brings up this window. Here, we need to click on the semantic model that we are working on for now. So in this case, is this one, the dynamic per recipient subscription. So I also need to note that that mapping table that we talked about earlier, it doesn't have to even be within this report. So if I had my mapping table in another semantic model, I can also call on it. So just for us to know that. Okay. The next step is to select and filter the data now. You have to choose the data you want to map the subscription's dynamic fields with. So here, this is when you choose the mapping table, because this is the data that has the email address, the subjects. If you have report filters or attachment files, this is the table that has that. So this is where you pick that table. And then the next thing you need to do is the email details. So at this point rather, you can give your subscription a name. I'll just leave it with this name for annual sales. You can also type in your recipients manually. So I can type in some of my colleagues manually. But if I don't want to do that, the beautiful thing is you can easily, you see that there's an option, a drop down here. You can also pick from the mapping table. So remember the mapping table that we created that has all the email addresses of the recipients. You can choose that and that matches it automatically. Same thing for subject. So if your table has subjects, you can do that. The beautiful thing about the subject is that if you have your subject on a table, you can somehow customize it. But if you enter your subject manually, what happens is that it is the same subject that everybody sees. So the subject is not unique to each receiver. So in this case, I choose the subject. You can also include a message if you like. So I can say something like, here is a snapshot of your report, something like that. Then the report page, if you have multiple pages, you can choose the pages. But since I just have one page in that report, that's the page that is here. You can also include the link to report. And if you don't want to, you can also uncheck this. Then the report page preview is going to be this is going to be the snapshots. You can choose to add it or not, but most times I think you have to add it. Then you can either choose a PDF or a PowerPoint. And if it's to get data, so if you had like an attachments link in that your mapping table, you can also add it to the mapping table and then select. But I think I'll leave it as PDF. And once you're done with this, you click on next. Now, this is where you set up your mapping your data. This is where you set up the filters for your data or for your reports. So these are the dynamic filters. So you click on add filter. Now, what is the report field that you want to filter by? In this case, remember it was region. So I want my region to filter my region in the mapping table. This is the filter. You can add as many filters as you want, but this is what I'm going to work with for now. Then once you're done with this, you click on next. And after this is when you now create this scheduling. You do this by choosing the start date and end date. I'll just make it end. Okay, let's end tomorrow so it doesn't keep on going. And I want it to be a daily kind of report. I want it to be sent by 6:30 p.m. I'll choose my correct time zone and then yeah, 6:30 is fine. I'll make it an active subscription and then I click on next. So once I'm done with this, I just click on save and close. All right. So I'll just wait for the time to be 6:30 and I'll get a notification in my email because my email is part of the email in the mapping table. And I'll show you how the report sends, how the subscription works and how the snapshot of the report would look like. Okay. While we're on that, if you have any questions, please drop that in the comments or in the chat box. There are some other things that I would like to speak about while that is going on. You see, it's quite easy creating the or setting up the dynamic per recipient subscription. So although this is a beautiful feature and it's still in preview mode, I have noticed that there are some limitations to the preview, and I hope it is being worked on as time goes on. So, for example, if a table is hidden, maybe you have a technical table that you don't want your end users to see, or you don't want to be part of the semantic model per se. But okay, if you even mistakenly hide your mapping table, once you go to Power BI service to set up the dynamic recipient subscription, you wouldn't be able to, because that mapping table will be hidden. It will not be available for you to create the dynamic subscription. So by all means, if you know that, although sometimes you might want to share that report as a PBIX file and you don't want people to see some of those tables, in this case, you can't. It just has to, if unless you turn off the subscription, and then you can work with it down. And now the recipients cannot be more than 50 for now, and the recipient's data has to be loaded first into data table, rather has to be loaded first into the semantic model. This recipient data table still is still the same as the mapping table, as I said earlier. And if the names of the columns or the tables are changed in the semantic model while the subscription is processing, the dynamic filters might not be applied properly. So make sure that the fields are constant throughout the process of setting up this subscription. So I'm sure you might be asking, how is this different from row level security? Okay, I'll I'll just explain how, then I'll also show how. So with row level security, I know we have two types. We have the static and also dynamic row level security, where the static row level security, you just limit viewers from seeing what other people can see. So there's like a security layer over what viewers can see. So for example, if your data is categorized by countries, so people in Australia cannot see what is happening in Russia, for example. So that's what row level security does. But for dynamic subscription, on the other hand, what happens here is that the receiver gets a snapshot of the reports. So it gets it as a PDF, or and also a snapshot. That means it gets it in a static state of what is happening in whatever region they are. But once they open that report, they can see through everything that's happening. So they only have a filtered version or a filtered view. Not that once they click on the report to view, they wouldn't see what's happening all through. So if you still want row level security to be applied while using dynamic subscription, you have to apply row level security first, and then dynamic subscription is going to be a second layer on it. So yes, they only see what they have, first of all. Secondly, once they are subscribed to the report, they have snapshots of that report, and even when they click on the report to view, they would see only what pertains to that region or what pertains to them. So it's going to be interesting to add row level security for security purposes if you want to restrict viewers from viewing other branches or other countries. So that's how it is different from row level security. So for row level security, it's security based, but for dynamic subscription, it's just a filtered version of your reports. Okay, it's almost 6:30, so I'll just wait, and I'll be waiting for your questions in the chat box. I hope it was clear enough.
Yeah, please, from my own side of how you explained, it was really clear. Like you broke it down, and yeah, I
Okay.
can see people are clapping. Yes.
Oh,
Any
thank you.
questions from anyone in the house? So we can use the opportunity as we wait for the reports to get sent. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone indicating with a clap of hand.
Thanks.
And it's really good to hear you explain that it does not replace the row level security. So
No,
just the
it
fact
doesn't.
that you've said so that this person should receive report for, maybe Southwest branch does not mean that if he clicks the report link to go to Power BI, he won't
Mm,
see. So one
mm,
has to really add row level security if that's the desired experience.
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
You're welcome. Another thing to note is that for row level security, remember, it's two-way. You set it up on the desktop first, and then you you apply it in Power BI service. But for dynamic per subscription, apart from the fact that you need a mapping table, and also the mapping table doesn't even have to be in the reports that you are working on now. So you can also pick it up from another semantic model. The dynamic per recipient subscription works with mostly Power BI service for the most part. You don't really have to do much in Power BI desktop. Okay. I hope the message has come. It hasn't come. Okay, I don't think we can keep waiting. But let me just show you. Okay, it has come. No. This is how it's going to look like. So annual sales, you see that in this part that speaks to region, I can only see one region that I am assigned to. And because I'm assigned to the Northeast region, that's all I see as in the snapshot. Once I open up the PDF, same thing. It's a snapshot of what is happening in that region that I see. But once I open the report, I click on the report to open up. I no longer have a filtered version. I have a holistic view of the reports. So this is where if you really want a filtered version to be applied at this stage, you would most likely need to apply another layer, and that would be like row level security in this case. So that's it about this new feature. I hope you try it out and explore it. I'm waiting for your questions. And if you look at the subject also from this mail I got, so this report is for the Northeast region because of the subject column that was added. All right. Email has even come in. So it's the same thing. And this is how it looks like. All right.
I got the one for the other region, so maybe I'll forward it to you in case you want to also show people what the other emails look like.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, really? Okay, okay, okay. Yes, that would be nice.
I got for South region, Southeast region,
Oh,
Southwest
wow.
region. Let me forward
Oh,
them to you. Forward. Okay. Forwarded one of them. Forwarded South.
okay.
Let me forward Southeast. Forwarded Southeast, then Southwest. Let me forward
Okay. I think it has come. I've seen it now. Okay. So the subject is still how I concatenated that this report is for the South region, and this is how the snapshot will look like. And then you also have a PDF version of it soon. Oh, nice. Okay. I've gotten all of them. Yeah. That's how they all look. And the beautiful thing is they all get it, of course, at the same time since it's automated. So once we have all that, I'll just turn off my subscription. So I don't want it to happen again. I can just delete it or edit it. So in the editing process, there are some steps that might be a bit funky. So for example, if you want to go back to the second step, for example, you might have to choose again. So, okay, it even chose it for me this time around. Another thing that you need to note is that if this mapping table is more than 1,000 rows, you wouldn't be able to use this feature. So it's limited to, I think, 999 or 1,000. So you shouldn't make your mapping table too large also. Then same way, you just go over all the steps again if you want to. All right. So that'll be all from my end. It's really short and straightforward. I just wanted us to be abreast of the news feature. What made me what's it called? How I found out this feature, how I found out that this feature existed was one of the trainings I was taking. And you know how all these updates just come. And I was trying to take someone on creating a subscription and stuff, and I just saw two options. So it got me thinking, oh, so what does this second one do? And I had to do my research, and I found out that, oh, it has more features than the standard. Okay. Thank you, everyone. I hope you learned a thing or two. I'll be expecting your questions in the comments or in the chat box. And if you don't have any, it's also fine.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Even I have like an example of something I needed to do 2 years ago, 2022,
Okay.
and we had to look for an external tool to do some of these. I don't know yet.
Wow.
I'll explain what we did. I don't know yet if this can do all of it, but I already see
Okay.
that there is um, the same. I see some of the things already here. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a live project. The company is even a Canadian company, but then I was
Okay.
still within Nigeria, so it wasn't like maybe it was they needed a resource anywhere, and interestingly, we were the one that had to do the work for them. So they have just throwing out some random numbers. So to make things easy for you to follow. So they've got
Mm-hmm.
190 customers, but these are business customers. Okay.
Okay.
And they manage they manage assets. Let me use the word assets because it's a bit
Okay.
confidential what they manage for them. They manage
Mm.
assets for all these customers, but in their own software solution, everybody is on the same management tool. So internally, I can see all of the customers and how we are managing their assets, what performance of
Okay.
reviews reports are associated with each one. So before we did this, it used to be that they had to create monthly report for each customer, and at the beginning of the each month, they will send the
Mm-hmm.
report of the last month.
Mm-hmm.
So we recreated the report in Power BI. We did a lot more analysis, so it's even richer. So they see all
Mm-hmm.
these things per customer already on Power BI. So the
Mm.
next natural thing is this is valuable for us internally. We believe it's
Mm.
also going to be valuable for the customer. And
Mm.
secondly, it's going to replace the legacy way they were generating a report via and do PDF reports to the customer. So
Mm.
we decided to now create in Power BI a report that will look like A4 size of page. It will
Mm-hmm.
have the branding. It will look exactly like, a
What they are
very
used to.
well,
Okay.
yes, a very well. In fact, they had to use their internal graphics designer guy to design what we
Nice.
should do. Give me the way it should look like,
Theme.
give it to me. Then I replicated it in Power BI. And then we now
Mm.
made the things dynamic. So the graphs are dynamic because coming from Power BI. The name of the
Mm-hmm.
customer is dynamic. So in this
Mm.
one I use region now, it will not be region, it will just be the
Mm.
customer name. So once you
Customers
change
theme.
the customer's name, all the things that should be
Mm.
dynamic instantly apply. You will see
Mm. Yeah.
day wise on the graph, it will show the
Mm-hmm.
day wise performance of that customer's assets. It will show,
Mm-hmm.
insightful reports like, okay, this is how you did over last month. This is what
Mm-hmm.
you will eventually achieve if this trend continues. So it was really they were so sure that their customers will be very, very happy when they get it. So Power BI was not a problem to do. The problem now became how are we going to send this to them without them having to have
Okay.
Power BI account?
Oh. Oh.
So we could not then. But
Mm.
with this
Mm-hmm.
now, it's just this mapping table. We would have just done the
Yeah.
mapping table.
How about
So
their
it will, yeah,
emails?
we customize the subject line, customize, make it that each person goes to his email. But we turn off from what you said, I think we have to turn off the view the link and so that they can't see any link
Yes.
to click
Yes.
to go to Power BI because they
Mm-hmm.
don't even have a
So the
Power BI
report itself,
account. So they're just going to
account
see
itself.
the static
Mm-hmm.
uh, email. So
PDF.
PDF. So that was the way we did it. But we had to use another tool. We had to use a Power BI reports. I hope I'm getting the name right. So we had to use Power BI robot. That's the name of the tool we used.
Wow.
And it's expensive. They had to
Mm.
pay like thousands of euros per year license. The license at that time was almost equal to maybe what the customer was even paying for Power BI itself.
Wow.
So Power BI robots. Now I think the owners of Power BI robots will not be happy that Microsoft is now
That's
including
true.
these two in the. So, but it worked well even
Mm.
for the 2 years that I still had access to the that I was on their project that I was getting the email and whenever something was
Change.
amiss,
Mm.
because the way we did it was okay. Now I see what's different in that one. The way we did it, it was sent to multiple emails. So the customer and then one internal email so that we too can at least
See what's.
see what was sent and know if anything is amiss and be able to intervene if there was a need. So
Mm-hmm.
that then in the body of the email, we had to
Mm-hmm.
customize things. So that one allowed us to be able to include a lot more customization. The message was not static. So the message in the body of the email,
Okay.
you can add dynamic
Yeah.
tags.
Yes. So that's another limitation I saw. So I think, oh yes, yes, that would have made more sense. So, for example, we are creating this, and sorry for interrupting you. Anyways, when I was working on it, it came to my mind also. And we in this message, if it was not, because this message is going to be a single message for everybody. If it
Yeah.
was something like, pick the email or pick the region and then customize a message for him or her, or it should have made more sense. So the region would have been like a drop down. The message can also even be on the table, in the mapping table, and we can just pick from. So I think
Exactly.
that's something
So
that should be added.
yeah, that's one thing I've seen in that is not here. And
Okay.
I don't know if this allows one to have, I know in the email, in the dynamic email, you can
Mm-hmm.
pick from the table, but in the table, can we put like, you know, tolulope@yourvisage.com, semicolon, Mike at your visage. Can one put multiple
Oh, multiple.
recipients?
I've not
So
tried that out. That's
that
something
one
I should check
allows,
out too.
in fact, that one allowed us to put someone in two, a different set
Mm,
of people in
in a certain
CC.
region.
No,
Okay.
like it's not just in the recipient, it's not just one. You have CC, you
Okay,
have
okay,
BCC,
okay.
like we have in
Oh,
our proper email.
nice.
So I could do
Oh,
that. Then the automation too. So
mm,
we wanted the email subject to always reflect like it should say in the email subject, this is your report for May
this period.
2024. So
Okay.
that place to have to be a bit dynamic. So
Mm,
we had to also in the subject, okay, I think this, it might be possible with this since the subject is coming from
yes.
the table. Okay. So that might have done that. It's just the automation will be on the model side. You'll have automated it such that what will be there at the period will be dynamic to reflect maybe month and stuff. Okay, that makes sense. I think that's possible. Then another thing that we had to do in that one was when it sends.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted it to send like hmm, okay, that's more options. I think in the end we were able to pick an option that was easy. In the end, we now made it to send on the 10th day of the next month. Then we do an internal copy one copy we send internally on the first day of the month so that we can have
Mm.
10 days to review in case if there's something we can quickly go and pause or fix it before the general one that was sent on the 10th of the month. But we also saw options of do you want it to send on the last day of the month? And that's the thing. Last day of the month is dynamic because
Yes,
first day
some
of the
months.
month is just first of any month. But last day of the month,
Mm.
it could be 28, it could be 30, it could be 31. So that one had the ability for you to set it that it was going to be dynamic, to be like last day of the month. Yeah. But as usual with Microsoft, they too they are aware of. For them to have even done this, it means they know that people need this, and I'm sure people give them feedback. And with Power BI,
Mm.
they quickly fix things. Like you'll be amazed how they update and even take over whoever was having this functionality in their own third party tool. So this is something I'm sure for them to even mark it as preview, it means they also know that there's a lot of features that people want that they've not yet added.
Yes, yes,
So, so can only get better. This is really cool.
yes.
I guess the only problem people are having, so I can see from Kuban's message, it says he sees, it was like, thank you, I can see using it for different subsidiaries. Then Nufu is saying, I wonder why this is not available for pro licenses because companies won't give everyone premium license. So this is what I will say. I don't know how well this applies to all companies, but you are correct. For premium is too expensive. Premium is, as I last time I checked, I think it runs to like $4,000. Did even, but it's really expensive. I can't remember if that was, or maybe it was $2,000 per. The minimum was like $2,000 per month. I can't remember exactly what I saw, but I know it's in like thousands of dollars per month you have to pay for premium for the lowest premium license, which was P1 capacity. I can even try to verify that. Power BI premium capacity pricing. So I'm even trying to quickly check that online and be able to give you a more recent, accurate figure. Uh, Power BI. So even premium per user, this will not work on premium per user according to what Microsoft has said. It only works on um, premium capacity and fabric. So, see, oh, great. On their pricing web page, which I'm sharing the link. Oh, maybe I can share my screen then. I see
Yes,
the
it's
last
yes.
option. Okay, great. I didn't want to take over your screen share previously. So, as you can see in this screen, right? This is it's still almost. This is actually 5,000. What's the difference? $5 difference. You're as well paying 5,000 already. So, see for this already, it is crazy high. Not every company is going to want to put this down. That's what you have to pay for you to access some of these things, deployment pipelines, access, and now divided these. And I'm noticing a pattern. Microsoft is adding things and even the Git. I know I did a demo on Git, how you can do how you can publish using Git. And someone also, the person speaker we had last week too, also did this a demo too on that. And so this is what I will say, right? That right now, if you have Fabric trial, so they are also giving Fabric that first class treatment, which means everything that typically they used to limit to just this this premium capacity. They are now making it available in even the regular Fabric. And the thing about Fabric is Fabric has the cheap option. So they didn't put this here, and I guess they don't want to demarket it. But if I go to Fabric pricing, you will see that the smallest amount for Fabric is 200 and something. So you might just be lucky that that is enough. You can have a Fabric capacity where you're paying 260 something, and yes, you're able to do a whole lot of all these things that you want to do. So that's the option that I'm beginning to explore. That okay, I might have a client, or even we might internally be doing a project, and our trial is already exhausted. Well, this is not too big a step compared to having to fork out $5,000 to have a premium capacity, So I'm saying this as you could also want to try it out that even if it's just to make a case, you can tell your company, or if it's your own business where you have the ability to pay, you can pay for a fabric capacity. In fact, right now you can get is it 60 days or 45 days? You can get almost 2 months fabric free capacity. And when that is finished, and you still want to keep those features, then you can go on these 262.80 a month plan. And at least compared to this, it's a still it's if it works fine, then great. So you just have that fabric capacity. Let me explain what I mean by if you just have that fabric capacity. So create your workspace when you want to create a workspace, you see, you can pick whether you want to make the workspace be in Pro or in Fabric. So I'm having a Fabric trial. That's why this is showing in mine. And so what it means is if you even have a very small Fabric capacity, like what I'm explaining, that you're having a Fabric capacity that might not be able to hold all of your company's Power BI reports, right? What you will do is, by my own judgment, is have that one Fabric capacity, but still have your other Power BI workspaces, Pro workspaces. And so what will happen is only the reports that you want to take advantage of all these new tools, new features that are not available for Pro but are available for Premium and Fabric. They are the only things you will take to that Fabric capacity. So you want to use these um, subscription per dynamic subscription per user view. You will bring that report to be in the Fabric capacity. You want to use I think even deployment pipelines work for Fabric capacity. I don't know if you have seen deployment pipeline. Let's see if I can show you what deployment pipeline is. If I go here, workspace, you see deployment pipelines. I'm actually using this to build. I'm building a Power BI visual project, so I don't want to cancel this. I'm just going to open another view and use that. So I go here, deployment pipelines. So I think we'll get someone to come speak to us, or I might be the one that will present to us on deployment pipeline. So deployment pipeline allows you to create like a dev environment, user acceptance test or test environment, and production environment. So you're able to create, a pipeline. And let's see if this will let me see. And you can rename it. You can say this will be UAT. You can add more. You can say this is pre-prod if you want. And choose a different name. And you can, have as many environments as you think is necessary and create them and be able to move reports from one environment to another, deploy them, have different users. So in most use case scenarios, developers, tech teams, they'll be able to access all this workspace and see whatever you're building. Then business analysts, product managers, project managers, they'll be able to see it, they'll be able to test it before they release it to maybe some people in the company, in the final client side, to now check, do validation, and then before they move it to production. And some other times, some people don't even bother having a pre-prod. They just have, we test it here and we deploy straight to production. And so all of these too, they are nice. They are the proper software and proper enterprise application development mantra, like practice. But they've never been possible in Excel. They've never been possible in most of all the tools we data analysts and BI typically use. So now this is what separates, you know, a BI developer from just a regular data analyst. The fact that you are able to work not in isolation as if you are just a an Excel person or something using a fancy version of Excel. You're actually able to work in alignment with how the other IT guys and dev in your company operates, because in a proper enterprise company, they will have a dev environment, UAT environment, production environment. So it means that even your own reports to the things you build in Power BI and in your analytics work, they are also, aligning with that enterprise development pattern, where in the in for the data that sits in their development environment, your report is connecting to the deployment development database and resources. And then in the UAT, your resources automatically switching to connect to UAT databases and resources, and prod is also similar. So, in summary, why I'm bringing this up is this is one of those features too that does not exist in Pro, only exists in Premium. But if you have Fabric, I think yes, it exists for you. So you can take advantage of Fabric. Go to the lowest price level, and yeah, you'll be able to take advantage of these new tools. So that's my comment. Any questions from anyone else? And thanks a lot, Tolu, for the presentation. I will try to share in the chat. We would like to get your feedback, what type of topics or what we can, you know, what you want us to be aware of as regards our sessions. Okay. Tolu, any additional things you want to share before we end the
Uh,
session?
no, thank you so much, Michael, even for elaborately explaining all this, the technicalities with this licensing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you too. Okay, so if no more questions from anyone, I want to say a big thank you to you all for joining our session today, and we hope to see you next time. I don't really know what the session next week will be. Oh, I see someone's hand is up. Yeah, Cynthia, let me try to give you ability to speak. Let me make you. You've lowered your hand. Was it in error that your hand went up? I've given you ability to unmute in case you still are interested. Okay, yeah. Okay, now we can hear you. Can
Okay,
you try to say something?
good evening. Sorry, I joined late actually,
Okay.
but I just want to ask, this Power BI, I don't really understand it. I would like to know maybe when next there'll be a training on Power BI. I see that this particular today's section is just how to send out emails to maybe like people you're working with or like external people. But I want to know how to generate that data on Power BI itself.
Okay.
I don't
Thank
know.
thank you for
So,
that
okay.
question. Okay, I'll also let you answer, but I'll also use the opportunity to even it's an opportunity to also let you know of the beyond what we do here. So I've shared in the chat how you can even access past recordings. So you might be cherry picking what you find, So if you go on that link, you will see all the sessions that we've had prior to now, and you might, based on that, decide to pick things that will help you that will be closer to your current interest level of, okay, this is what I'm interested in, and then you pick that rather than today's session where you found that, okay, all of what we covered seems to be expecting you to already know some things. So that's one. Then secondly is, you can also you can sign up for our sign up for our courses. So if you sign up for our courses, especially the Power BI course here, uh, that's another way. That way you will be able to have a from start to like will take you from beginner level up to where all of what we've discussed makes sense. You'll even practice them in the class. So I'll say this is another way for you to now get that in-depth knowledge that you want. Then I'll let Tolu also answer. I saw that she. And yeah, Tolu, you can also uh, share what you had in mind.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia, for the question. I want to be sure that what you're asking is how the report was even created from the beginning. So, but Michael has even said it all. This class was not I didn't create that report in this session. I already assumed that we have created such report, and how do we apply this new feature with this report. So as he said and advised, if you want to learn how to create such, you can sign up with our classes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And if you also want some free approach, one that might not cost you money, you can also take take the free courses at and the free training at our YouTube. Let me go to that. YouTube. I think I had it open here. So even when you go to our YouTube channel, some reason it's showing my name. That's the strange thing. Okay, yeah, I'll just leave it that for now. So if you even free training at here, right? So you can access a lot of free resources. It's just that you will have to be the one that will curate them yourself. So you begin to, shortlist the ones that you want to take and try to arrange them in the way that, you are learning one thing before the other. So that's the thing with all these things you can learn on your own. It's just that it might involve a lot more work than if you come to a class. If you come to a class learning, we've done the arranging, there's a teacher in front of you, you can ask questions. You'll be sure that if the class was for 3 days, that 3 days, what will have probably taken you weeks of shuffling between different online courses, it and miss, online videos. This will just, help you achieve everything in 3 days, and you now can from there begin to build things and continually refresh your knowledge. So that's my own way of explaining everything. Okay. Any other questions from anyone? Otherwise, we will end the session right now. Okay, I see no more questions. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful week ahead. Thank you, Tolu, for today's session. And thanks to everyone who had made it interactive, those who had posted things in the chat, or Cynthia who had come off mute to speak. Thank you very, very, very much. And have a wonderful week ahead. See you next time. Bye.